ambassador and world-renowned celebrity, Ms. Priyanka Chopra, has time and again proved through her actions that beauty is not only skin deep, rather it lies more in the art of giving and caring for the distressed humanity. And it is precisely this spirit of caring that has brought her to Bangladesh to stand beside the Rohingya refugees, especially the children and women. So ladies and gentlemen, a big hand for Ms. Priyanka Chopra. We also have with us on the dais Ms. Seema Sengupta, Representative AI of UNICEF Bangladesh, and Mr. Jean-Jacques Simon, Chief of Communication, UNICEF.
They're always breaking my name.
They will only be too willing to answer any questions related to UNICEF's emergency response during the Rohingya crisis. I now have the pleasure to invite Ms. Seema Sengupta to welcome Ms. Priyanka Chopra.
I know.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah. So, members of the press, ladies and gentlemen, it actually... Is it? Yeah. Yours was on. So, members of the press, ladies and gentlemen, it gives us great pleasure, really, really great pleasure to introduce to you Ms. Priyanka Chopra, who you know very well, but to introduce her to you as UNICEF's Goodwill Ambassador. And as you know, you're well aware, you've been following her and following the press, that she actually has been here, she's been visiting the camps, she's been visiting with the children, with the Rohingya children these last few days. It really, I will take a couple of seconds to say thank you. A real big thank you for actually volunteering your time, taking that time off and spending it with them in the community. We really, really appreciate it. And we know how dedicated you are and that you do it really from the bottom of your heart. And with that, you know, it is so important because Priyanka has stories that she will tell you, and she will take it not just here, but also to the world. So really appreciate Priyanka's commitment and dedication to the rights of children, but really to the rights of the most vulnerable children. And not just here. Priyanka's been a Goodwill Ambassador for UNICEF for the last 10 years, first in her home country in India, and then a Global Ambassador for UNICEF. And she's in this role gone to Zimbabwe, Syria, and now she's here. So I'm going to now leave it to Priyanka to share what she has seen and experienced and felt in this last few days. So thank you, and over to you.
Thank you so much, Seema. Thank you so much, Jean-Jacques. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. कैसे हैं आप लोग, if I may ask? है ना? मतलब बंगाली बोल नहीं पाती मैं ज़्यादा. सिर्फ एक चीज़ आती है मुझे, तोमार नाम की. Because I ask the little children that question all the time. That's the only thing I know, तोमार नाम की. And Roshagulla. सबसे important. This has been one of my most life-changing trips that I have made along with UNICEF. I've had the incredible good fortune of working and being associated with UNICEF, which is an organization that doesn't care about the history, the geography, the physicality, anything of a child, except the fact that it's a child. And every child deserves a future, and every child deserves an opportunity to contribute to humanity. And I think that I find myself extremely privileged that I can take UNICEF's message to the world and actually be a means to an end. When I went to the Rohingya camps, and now I have spent about 4 days in Cox's Bazar, and I've also been to refugee camps, other refugee camps around the world. And the one thing that I the one thing that I take back here, I spent a lot of time with very young children, 5, 7, 8. I'll tell you a few stories. Tick? Okay. I'll tell you a few stories. There was a 7-year-old child. They were all sitting and drawing, like with colors in this one learning center that UNICEF has created in the middle of these camps. And I'm sure you all know what these camps look like more than me, how unstable they are, how the conditions are extremely difficult, and especially now with the monsoon coming up, it's very difficult that any of those structures will survive. So these children, they were drawing. So I went and asked, can I see some of your drawings? So I picked up the drawing book, and I was looking back at the drawings that he had done before. When they arrived into Cox's Bazar, which was about August, September last year, when the big influx of refugees from Myanmar came into Bangladesh, him and his family had walked for about 15 days, and all his drawings were children playing soccer on a football field and helicopters spraying bullets at them, rocket launchers, and these are 5, 6-year-old children. Rocket launchers being launched at their homes. Heads lying separate, bodies lying separate, hands lying separate. Now these are children at 5, 6, 7. That's what they remember. That's what they know. I had the incredible opportunity and good fortune of meeting Honorable Prime Minister today, the Honorable Prime Minister of Bangladesh today, and we spent a lot of time talking about this, and I really, really have to applaud the government of Bangladesh, who has opened up their borders and allowed so many refugees to come in, almost 1 million people that Bangladesh has allowed inside, just because of humanity. And humanity is what this world needs the most. I don't care about differences anymore. When you look at, and now that I have been to 2 of the biggest refugee camps in the world, one which was in Jordan, where Syrian refugees lived for about 7 years now, and then now to the Rohingya camps in Cox's Bazar. The only thing I can see is a generation of children that will not have education, that will be illiterate, that will be vulnerable to violence, people putting guns in their hands instead of pens. What will happen to the world when there's a huge generation of children that become vulnerable to violence? The world is already in a precarious place. Look at the amount of violence that is happening around the world. Do we need any more hatred? Do we need any more of that? To me, as a global community, the message that I want to take from these camps is that refugee children are the world's responsibility, because they don't have anywhere to go. They don't have anything to call their own. But if we lose these children, then whatever happens to the world is on us. Let me ask you all a question. How many of you have kids? Please raise your hands. No? Nobody has kids over there at the back? That's half the room, almost. More than half the room. I don't. Not yet. But that's a very smart question. Sir, did you ask me if I have children? If I have children? Oh, you're not aware that I don't have children? All the children that I work with are my children. How about that? All right, good to know. How many do you have? You have 2. Would you, if something like this happened to our children, which is possible, countries are being bombed, people are being killed for no reason. If that happened to your children, will you want someone to help them? That's the same question. A child is a child. It doesn't matter where they come from, where they're going, what their parents did, what their religion is, which country they come from. A child is a child, and every child born onto this earth is the responsibility of the globe and privileged global citizens like us. So the reason why I take these trips is to spread this message to the world, to be a little compassionate, to think about our future and the future of our children through the eyes of these kids. They have nothing. The basic things that a child needs to not have a stunted development: food, clean water so that they don't get cholera or diarrhea or die because of malnutrition. Shelter during monsoons and cyclones. You know how many cyclone shelters you have in Bangladesh, because we know what happens during monsoon season. I'm from India. I know what happens. What happens to those shacks and those makeshift homes? Just the compassion in your heart. This is not the choice of the kids. Nothing is the choice of the children. And for me, that is my biggest advocacy, is that please open your hearts and your compassion towards the kids. What was really wonderful to see, I was telling you the story, and this boy's name is Mansoor Ali, by the way. He was 7 years old, who was drawing these drawings of, soccer fields being bombed and bullets being sprayed at them. After 6 months of spending time with UNICEF's learning centers, with the teachers that spend time in teaching them English, maths, Burmese, basic education so that they can maybe stand on their own feet a little bit. 6 months later, his drawings were Bangladesh. His drawings were sunshine, greenery, thatched roofs, teachers. And that just happened in 6 months because there was humanity shown to them. And that's what's important for refugee children around the world. In 1 month, World Refugee Day happens. And I would really, really like to implore the world to have a little bit of compassion for people who don't have anything. That's all that it is. God has given us, many of us, a lot. My mother used to always tell me, actually I'll make the point like that no matter where you are in the world, no matter how badly you are off, no matter how in the worst circumstances that you're in, someone is worse off than you in the world. And if we remember that, there is such a sense of balance that will come to us. And that's all that I'm trying to do. I've had an incredibly heart-wrenching trip, and at the same time an extremely inspiring trip, to see the way the government of Bangladesh has opened up its hearts towards these refugee children and towards these refugees was incredible to see. The spirit of these young children, how strong they are, how tough they are, how much fun they have with me. We played lots of games. I had tea made by the children. I was dancing with them. I witnessed one of the classes. I played with them. And the one thing that I really took back were their shiny eyes and their smiles, And just to see a child happy can make any one of us really happy. And I just think that is an extremely wonderful thing, that all the organizations that have come together on field, especially UNICEF, have done such incredible work. And there's so much more to be done, which is why we are all here, asking before the monsoons to please donate your time, your money, your compassion. I know we all have. And now it's just the responsibility of the world to also do that. That's it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Priyanka Chopra, for your exceedingly inspirational words and your personal recollection. I now have the pleasure to invite Mr. Jean-Jacques Simon to speak a few words.
Thank you for being here, all of you. It's very welcoming and very nice for you to be so many at that time of the day. So thank you very much, Priyanka, for all these words and very kind feelings towards the children, the Rohingya children, who all need our help and support. We will go to questions. Please limit your questions to what Priyanka Chopra has been doing lately in the Cox's Bazar camps and nothing else. This is why Priyanka is here. She's UNICEF's Goodwill ambassador, and it is in this capacity that she is coming to visit your country and Cox's Bazar. So please introduce yourself, name your media, and be short in your questions because we don't have that much time. So we will go one by one, so please let your colleagues speak. In the front, please.
Hello. Thank you, Madam Ambassador. You have already spent more than around 4 days in Rohingya camps in Cox's Bazar, and you have met many children there. And you also have called on the international community to come forward to help these children. Do you have any specific message for Myanmar, who are responsible for destroying these children's future. Thank you very much.
I'm here on behalf of children. I'm too small, I feel, to speak about political situations like this, or maybe not as aware. But I would only like to speak about... I'm not someone who believes in a blame game. I think that creates more hatred and more animosity. I would rather look at the future and see that instead of focusing on the violence of the past and responding with anger or hatred, I think it's important to focus on the future of these kids and put our positivity in that direction. That's what I would like to say.
In green.
Thank you very much. I'm Baram Khan from Bengali News Daily Paper, Askaler Khobor. Generally, celebrity person always care about the security. But you are very easy in Cox's Bazar, and many people, Bangladesh. Many times I travel with a local bus, and they're very appraising your situation that you are very easy without strict security. How it is possible that you did take this decision? Thank you.
I don't think I have done anything to anyone where they would want to hurt me. All I have seen is love in Bangladesh since I have come. Everyone that I have met, whether it was the children, whether it was the people, whether it was the security, the police, whether it was the Prime Minister, whether it is all of you, so far, I have only seen the mithas of Bangladesh so far, and I just felt that I wasn't expecting anything to be. I wasn't afraid because I didn't expect anyone to scare me. All the children wanted to do was give me hugs, and I like getting children hugs.
We will go to a question from the lady in the middle there.
Thank you for the mic. Hello.
Hello.
This is Chumur Bari from a news channel, Ikatu Television. In your speech, you told that the children, they have life in here, they are drawing, they are singing, they are playing, they have a freedom here. But do you think if they don't have any freedom to go back their country, they can have a good life, and a life for the future?
That's exactly the concern, ma'am. That's why we are all here, because that's exactly what we are concerned about, is when right now the future of these children is in perpetual limbo, and none of us can predict what will happen. You and I are normal people. We are not, heads of states or political leaders where we can make those kind of changes, but we can contribute our time, our money, our compassion to humanity. And to me, my biggest concern is that too. That's exactly what I said, that with the refugee crisis around the world, and not just the Rohingya camps, the biggest worry is this generation of children that will not have access to education, will not have access to being able to take the evolution of human beings forward, to add to the evolution of this world. And that is a big and grave concern.
The gentleman on the side here.
Yeah, good evening. I got a sore throat, but thank you. Thanks a lot for being here. I want to ask you, how do you like to influence United Nations to have a quick remedy of this situations which is running now? Quick, any sort of quick action you are expecting once you depart from here, United Nations, how do you like to influence them?
I will take that one if you don't mind. The United Nations is a family. UNICEF is part of the United Nations. As you know, UNICEF is supporting children and their families, mostly their mothers. We have so much at stake in the camps. We're making sure that every single day children are vaccinated, children receive proper health care, children have shelter. With our partners, we make sure that they have food. With our partners, we make sure that we can build a future for them. This is at the core of what we do on an everyday business. The reason why Priyanka Chopra is here is to advocate for what we do, is to make sure that these children have a future. And I think she was very clear about it. And I think this is why so many people care about Cox's Bazar and the situation of Rohingyas. It's because we have a human heart And Priyanka has shown that we are a big family on this planet. We're not just a tiny fraction here and there. We're together, and we need support and we need funding.
Hello, this is Irshad Kamal from New Age newspaper. Yes, we are really pleased to have you here as a Goodwill ambassador, and we are really fortunate that you are from our friendly neighboring country, India. Yes.
I mean, we're brothers and sisters,
Yes.
so
yes,
we were all related at one time.
Yes.
So.
My question is that will you influence your Indian government to help Bangladesh government on Rohingya issue instead of supporting Myanmar government? That
The day I become a politician, I will do all that. But right now, I'm the Goodwill Ambassador of UNICEF, and I will advocate for the global community, you, all of you, to be responsible for children around the world. But when I become Prime Minister, you watch.
We'll go for other questions. Yes, this gentleman in the middle there.
Hi, it's Tanzim. I'm from a national news agency.
Nice to meet you.
But the problem is actually this a political problem. You know that you're the ambassador. I know your responsibility. But my question is, like in the behind is written that you have to take action. What kind of action actually you are giving the message? Like only giving aid, only giving support to the children, or from a different perspective so that they can get the education? Like what kind of action actually you are
What am I asking for, or am I giving personally?
you were asking for?
Oh,
Your message.
okay.
Thank
So you're right. This is a political problem, and we don't have the answers to the political problems because we don't have those powers. But as human beings, we have the ability. No donation is small. Not even, no donation. Whatever you feel in your heart, whatever you can do. You know, little babies are fed small packets of ready-to-eat peanut butter paste, which has 500 calories each, so that they're not malnutritioned. That costs nothing. Nothing. Even if you give a little bit of money, it can buy about 3 or 4 or 5 weeks worth of food for one child. Now you have taken care of at least one child. And even that is enough. Imagine if each one of us gives just a little bit of that money. Whether it is money, whether it is advocacy, whether it is time. Nobody wants, I think that is what I'm imploring the people to do. Help foundations like UNICEF provide aid to these places. I'm not saying that people have to uproot their lives, go into these camps and themselves take care of the refugees. Nobody is asking you to do that. All I'm asking is to help the organizations that are actually on ground providing aid, which are so many of them. In the 7 months that these refugees have been here, the kind of improvements that I have seen, there's cholera vaccination that has happened to almost every refugee in the camp, which I know of. There is health care which is being provided to them, or places for women when they've had babies, newborn babies, how to take care of them. There is so much in terms of help that is happening, but it is not enough. You know monsoons are coming. And you know what happens around this part of the world when monsoons happen. Imagine those thatch huts with those newborn babies and those children living in there. That's it. That's all we are imploring the world, to have just compassion towards people who don't have anything.
If I may, Priyanka did visit the host communities around the camps. And as you know, the host communities were extremely welcoming when the crisis started almost a year ago. Part of our programming is going towards the host communities, because we know very much that we need to keep this environment free of any sort of issues that could happen. So therefore, we build schools near host communities. We build a health post. We have vaccination campaigns in the host communities as well. So this is extremely important for you to know as well. It's about the Rohingya children and their families, but it's also about the host communities, which play an essential role in the cohesion of this environment.
Actually, I really want to applaud that a little bit. It was so wonderful to see. By host community, he means the local Bangla people who live around the camps. It was so wonderful to see the kind of aid that was being given to the Rohingya children, being given to the children of to the host communities too, which was really, really wonderful to see with UNICEF providing that, and you should really know that. That was amazing.
Yes, a question in the center there.
Thank you. Priyanka, I would like to know very precisely and in short that from your 4 days experience, do you agree with the opinion that war crimes, genocide and violation of humanity has been taken place in Rohingya state?
Well, just to come back on that word, you know that there's been many investigations. You read the reports. They've been shared around. What UNICEF is focusing on, and I will let Priyanka have her own word, but I wanted to jump in because from a UNICEF perspective, and Priyanka is part of this UNICEF family, our priority are the children who have come on this side. And you know for a fact that there are over 400,000 of them. It's a lot of people. We focus on children. We know they need support. We know they need protection. We know they need health services. We know that. This is our priority today. Let other UN agencies who will come to talk to you at some point in time talk about human rights violation when it's the time. For the moment, if you allow us, we will focus on children and their needs, and they're extremely important to mention at this point in time.
I'll add to that. I just told the gentleman over there, I don't focus on the negative. I'll focus on what we can do to heal the world. I think it's very easy when you point a finger, 3 of them are pointing back at you. So why do that? Why point fingers right now? That's not my place. I'm here to make sure that the future of the world and to implore my community to take care of just children around the world. That's all.
The gentleman in the front, please.
Hello, I am Zilani. I'm working for multimedia news portal sharabangla.net. Nice. So I think now you are not a Goodwill ambassador. I think now you are the Prime Minister of children who are now faces struggle in Rohingya camps. So
I would love to be the Prime Minister of children all over the world.
Yeah.
Can I be that, please? Prime Minister of children all over the world.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So though you are the Prime Minister of children, can you urge the Indian government to put pressure on Myanmar for end this crisis?
I think that's such an incredibly smart question. You are definitely Bengali. Such a backward entry. When I went and met the Prime Minister, Honorable Prime Minister today, she gave me a gift, books of her father's. And on that was a card which said Prime Minister, Honorable Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina. As soon as I have a card which said Prime Minister of Children Priyanka Chopra, I'll talk to the government. I'm also as smart as you.
All right. Let's see who else wants to attempt to ask a question related to Priyanka's visit to the camps. That would be very nice of you. Let me make an attempt. I've been so much on this side. I was wondering if there was any question on that side. And I see so many quiet ladies. If the ladies would have questions, we would be so happy.
This is Mahmoud from Al Jazeera.
Hello.
I would like to ask you a question.
Sorry, I don't see you.
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, you're there.
Frontline commander.
So many lights.
So,
go ahead.
This question to Priyanka. You were attacked on social media for taking up the cause of Rohingya. Does that concern you?
What concerns me is it makes me sad that we are dividing children, that we can project hate on children who have done nothing, and that is the wrong message. And I will not stand for a wrong message. All the children in the world matter. because they will contribute to the future of this world that you and I live in. And tomorrow, when something goes wrong with your child's future or your child's future, don't look back and blame someone else, because it'll be our fault. So I care about the future of this world, and you should too.
Thank you very much, Priyanka. I see one hand over there.
Hello, my name is Sanaul. I work for ATN Bangla, a local TV channel. I know there is an organization called Priyanka Chopra Foundation. May I know what Priyanka Chopra Foundation will do for the children?
My foundation is a very small foundation. I founded it about 10 years ago. It is a self-funded foundation right now. We've not made it public because at the moment it was very personal to me. Educating children from that is very, again, that's a big cause that is important to me. So we educate about 80 something kids at the moment, who all I know. And this foundation is like a little bit of my baby. I haven't really been able to spend too much time to build it. But my foundation doesn't need to do anything because I am. And that's bigger than my foundation. My foundation is very small. But I've spent about 18 years in the industry, and I think my contribution to the lives of children around the world will be a lot more than my little foundation right now. But hopefully, my foundation will be big enough someday to be able to help children around the world. Right now, we are at 80 plus. That's also good. How many children have you helped? One is good. One is also good. Even one is enough. At least one.
The gentleman in blue in the front.
Hello. I'm Nadim Mahmood from DBC News Television. I have a question, that is, do you have any plans to share your experience with the Indian governments?
This is the fourth time this question has come up to me. I think you really want an answer to this, and I don't know what else of an answer to give you. I'm not a politician. I am a UN Goodwill ambassador, a UNICEF Goodwill ambassador. I'm an actor. I'm a producer. You can ask me if I'll make a film on it someday. I could probably answer that, but I cannot shake I'm not a politician. I'm the wrong person to answer that question. You could probably speak to the Bangladeshi government as much as I could speak to the Indian government.
Thank you.
It reminds me of some of the questions I had at the very beginning of the crisis about who to blame all the time. It was about who is responsible. And I kept on saying, and I remember I gave over 200 interviews to the international press, Bangladesh has been extraordinary. Bangladesh has opened its doors to the crisis, to thousands and thousands of refugees and children. This is recommendable. You have to know, you have to recognize the fact that your country has done an amazing human thing.
Incredible human thing.
The rest is not about finding a responsible. The rest is about politicians doing their jobs, finding a deal, finding a way to solve the political situation, letting the human rights people doing their job. At UNICEF, we have so much at stake. I told you about what we do. Priyanka has told you about what we're trying to do for the Rohingya children. This is what's at stake here. It's a lot. To the next question, the gentleman there.
Will this visit with the Rohingya children, Rohingya refugees and the refugees you met in Jordan, inspire in your future film career as a producer or as an actor? Number one. Number two, you just said one journalist that at least have one child. When will you
not help, sir?
Oh, sorry. Then sorry.
This is called miscommunication or misinterpretation.
Okay.
Please underline this. I didn't say have one child. I said help.
Have one child.
Help. H-E-L-P. Help.
I understand, but just a question.
But you must have children. You must.
I have one, but when you will have your own.
Do you think having a child will define what I do? So then I'll have it when God intends for it to happen. I leave it up to Him. Oh, sorry, your first question. What was it?
Can you please repeat your first one?
My movies. I've recently become a producer. I've produced about 8 or 9 films so far, and they have. So far, my intention as a producer has been to give opportunities to new talent. All my directors so far have been new directors that I have launched. A lot of new actors. So maybe if I write a story someday, I could write it out of my inspiration from my experiences with UNICEF. But at the moment, I am giving opportunities to other people to tell their stories as a producer.
Ladies and gentlemen, we'll take one more question from the lady over there and then from the man.
Yeah.
The lady needs a microphone, please.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm one of your biggest fans. I cannot believe my eyes right now. All right, so my name is
Are you from a publication?
No.
Okay.
I'm one of the employee of Liberty in Dhaka. I'm working here for the last 2.5 years. My name is Farzana. So my question to you is, if you ever get to make a film on all these children who are deprived all over the world, what would you name the film?
I mean, you really think I'm really creative, but
I do.
I would call it survival.
Survival. That's beautiful.
Because that's what they did.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Sorry.
I have a children and I'm a mother. You are talking about the children, but did you see the Rohingya mothers? Is it possible to make a suitable environment for them?
UNICEF works a lot with neonatal care and newborn babies that are born. They teach a lot of there's a big crisis of child marriage that also happens. And I think that UNICEF has been working really, really hard to show these young mothers how to take care of their babies, how to feed them, what the correct position is, how much nutrition they need to get, in terms of hygiene, healthcare. These are basic fundamental things that I noticed were missing. And UNICEF has worked, and their volunteers and their employees have worked really, really tirelessly with so many women. I've gone to women-friendly spaces, and there are about, how many are there in the camp? About 80, 85? There are a lot of women-friendly spaces, which are such a wonderful concept. So most of these women, the entire time during the day, they sit within their homes, they cook, they clean, and they don't have much to do because it's also a very conservative culture. But when they go into these women-friendly spaces where no men are allowed, they are singing, they are dancing, they are embroidering, they are sewing, and at the same time they take their children there, the children are playing with each other, and the center opens at 9 o'clock, but these women are lining up from like 7 because they feel like the 2 hours or 3 hours that they spend there are a house of peace is what they called it. So I think these organizations, especially UNICEF, is doing so much groundwork to work with young mothers to take care of their very, very young children and older kids for that matter.
And just to add a bit, because I think Priyanka said it beautifully, but also to add that, you know, these women are also in need of healing. They've been through a lot of pain of loss of their homes, loss of their children, loss of their husbands, a lot of pain. And so there's a lot of work that's being done to also provide them with the psychosocial support. You know, just like Priyanka described the children in the child-friendly space and what they do to heal that trauma, it's the same thing for these women. In addition to the services which are physical, it is also the services which are mental and which are for their psychosocial well-being. Because one thing we do know, if the mothers are not healed, they're not going to be able to provide healing for their children, support for their children. So for UNICEF, we work for both of them, the women and the children. Obviously, the children take a lot of attention because there's so many of them, but the women are absolutely important as well because they will help them heal.
I think I got the look saying it's over. I would like to thank all of you for taking so much time and so much interest in coming here. In the holy month of Ramzan, you have come here in such a huge capacity, and you have given me so much of your time, you've given us so much of your time. I really, really appreciate that. Thank you, and I hope that we get to meet again, and I hope I get to come to your beautiful country again. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, we will, if you don't mind, walk to those in the middle there. If you can please remain seated, we will walk.
Thank you, ladies. Ladies